I have to start off dancing to my own theme song. I don't know if that's allowed or not, but hell, why not? Welcome, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Where are we up? March 9th, ladies and gentlemen. Coming to you, I'm coming to you anyway from lovely San Diego, California today. I'm joined, of course, by my lovely co-host Scooter. Scooter, how you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well, thank you. We're trying to rival San Diego's temperature. We're at 72 degrees in downtown Newark, Delaware.
I think you might technically be a degree or two warmer right now because I think it says it's only 68 out there, but it's a warm 68. But then again,
Yeah, yeah,
when you've
yeah.
been stuck in Ohio for since January, and any 68 is going to feel warm and beautiful. So
That's right. I mean, I'm not
at least to
complaining.
me
I was in
anyway. So
Florida last
all
week.
right, we got Yeah, and we haven't done a what are you wearing in a while, but I got my brand new shirt today. It is not only the men's team is on it, but the women's team is on there, with both gold medals on there. So very happy that the shirt came in. So I thought I'd debut it here today because I gave gave love to both the men and the women's equally on the shirt. This is by one of the local shirt folks, GV Art. They do a lot of Cleveland, Cincinnati shirts. So hey, if you like it, look them up, GV Art. It's a nice little shirt. So get yourself one or two or three, because I got three. One for me, one for Jared, one for Showtime. So
Right. Sounds
all
good.
right,
Yeah, I'm
there's
wearing
a
I'm
there's
wearing
a
my
shameless
coat.
plug. They did not even pay me for that plug.
That's
There
awesome.
you go. All right. Well, as you can see down on the bottom of the ticker here, today is what I like to call National Legal Tampering Day in the NFL, because technically free agency doesn't start till Wednesday. We'll dive more into the NFL here in a little bit, but going around I try to get as many of these as I can, but they're coming off fast and furious right now. So keep an eye on the bottom ticker there. You'll see some of the names, and then we actually got some live sports going on. But of course, you can check out us here on YouTube, Facebook, and X. We're also 24/7 on YouTube now, and you can listen to us the next day on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Pocket Cast, Podbean, and Castbox. So you can listen to Drive Time while you're driving, of course, which is always fun if you need to do that. I don't know. Maybe listen to my voice isn't fun while you're driving. I know that could be cause a horrific accident or something. I always got to make fun of myself. But like it seems like lately we've been starting with these rest in peace, and so unfortunately we have to do that here again today. This was last week. Lou Holtz passed away. I know a couple of guys had a chance to give their little thoughts to Lou, especially with Midnight Rider and KG with him being a coach at Notre Dame. But I wanted to give a little bit of love to him as well because six college stops, seven technically, but at NC State, Arkansas, Minnesota, North Dakota, Jesus, Notre Dame and South Carolina were the big ones. But he also had a brief stint in the Jets, but he's the only coach to lead six schools to bowl games. But of course, the main reason why I want to give him some love is because he did play his football at the Kent State University. So anytime you get somebody that plays for Kent State, I got to give them his love. But also went on, had a great career at ESPN. So political side of things may not have always agreed with them, but this is a sports show, and on the sports side of it, he was a legend. So I tip the hat to the legend, playing days, college days, and he's quite fun, in the booth too. I always liked some of his little skits that he would do. He had a few good bits here and there. So Lou Holtz will be missed. And I think he made the Notre Dame Ohio State rivalry there at the end a little bit of fun too. Got a little bit of fire going into that. So hey, I can appreciate the love for that too. So nothing but love for Lou Holtz. How about you, Scooter?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, he was a great football coach. I mean, not he wasn't made for the NFL. He tried for the Jets once, and that didn't work out in the '70s. So nothing really works out with the Jets, no matter what. But but he tried. Okay, so that was great. But he was unbelievable college football coach. What he did with Notre Dame, and then after with ESPN, and although I forgot who would host it, but it would be Mark May. It was like a judge. There, a guy, one of the like Reese Davis or something, was dressed up as a judge, and Mark May would present his side while Lou Holtz would present his side,
Oh,
and it was
right,
so
right. Yeah,
fun
yeah,
to
yeah. I
watch.
remember that.
And the two of them were so great together, Mark May and Lou Holtz. So I bet Mark May was. I felt he felt bad after that, but he was Lou Holtz was also a Army reservist. He was with artillery, and he was with an artillery battalion. Never at the war, but he served. He served his time before he became known. So God bless him for that. And yeah, we'll miss him. In fact, at Mission Barbecue, we have a big "Play Like a Champion" today sign. It's kind of, I mean, it's in
Wow.
honor of the hard work of football players in general. That they put themselves on the line every day. That but it reminds us to play like a champion every day. And I may be wrong about this, but Lou Holtz is one of the guys that really brought that kind of back. He brought that "play like a champion."
Yeah.
They roll back to them, and that sign was a big deal to all of them. So it's his son Skip. Skip was once a UConn coach. Then he followed in his dad's footsteps at South Carolina. So, and Skip was kind of doing a little play-by-play on his father over the past 2 weeks. Like he's okay. He's not moving around much, but he wants everyone to know he really appreciates your prayers. And so, because you knew he was in hospice and there was this eventual time.
Yeah.
So, rest in peace.
Agree. Well said, Scooter. So there we go. A little bit of love for Lou. All right. So real quick, I've been hitting up on this one all weekend, but they did complete the season. Miami, Ohio goes the perfect regular season 31-0. They will get Buffalo on Thursday night. The MAC is still one of the rare, a lot of these conferences set up these screwy formats, where like 11 plays 10, and then whoever wins that game will play the 9 seed, and then they play the 8 seed. So they really try to save their top 2 seeds, until like the semifinals almost. Like, the Gonzaga and St. Mary's get buys right into their semifinals out in the West Coast. Not the MAC, baby. You play right in the quarterfinals. So Miami of Ohio starts right off against Buffalo. The other really, really good team in the MAC this year is Akron. Their only loss was to Miami. They went 26-5. I like that this week the story finally broke because everyone's been giving Miami of Ohio and Akron crap about their schedule. Well, they didn't play anybody. Well, both athletic directors gave out all their emails trying to show all these universities that they are willing on playing, that they sent them, hey, we'd like to play you guys. We'll go to your place. You don't even have to come back to us. It's just a one-off. And no responses from any of these teams. We're talking all the big Power 4 schools that will not play these top of the MAC teams. So, in my personal view, if the final is Miami of Ohio and Akron, both of these teams should be in. We'll see. The MAC hasn't had 2 teams since 1999. I don't know why the MAC never gets 2 schools, but both these 2 teams, like I'd rather see Miami of Ohio and Akron in the tournament than the 7-10, whatever the hell the record is, Auburn's or the NC State. Sorry, Sarah, I know you're not here to defend your NC State, but these mid teams from these big schools, like let Akron and even if they lose, who the hell cares? But they should both be there.
Yeah, they should absolutely 100%. And I think if there was a game, Kentucky just lost at home the other day, and Dick Vitale was kind of ripping them. Like, you're Kentucky, you lose at home, and you're spending like $80 million to bring in all these players. Poo poo on you. Like, it doesn't matter who you're playing. You're Kentucky. Like, Miami of Ohio doesn't get that treatment. Akron doesn't get that treatment. And they've been, it's only Akron. It's only Miami. They're not even in Florida. They're in Ohio. But those 2 teams should make the tournament. I don't care if they. I mean, they should win a game or 2 in the tournaments, in their own tournaments. Ooh.
They should. Miami, Ohio should beat Buffalo. I'd be shocked if they don't. Then now they get to Final Four where it should be Miami, Ohio will probably get. They should get Kent, maybe. No, Kent's the 3 seed, so Kent's going to go to Akron. They could get a rematch with OU, which was just a great game where they had to hold on for dear life. Showtime, who is out car shopping right now, I'm just was testing her to see if she is at least watching the show, and she is, because she said uncalled for when I gave my little shot at NC State just to see if she was listening. So she said at least give the women the props. Of course, like the women's team for NC State is always very, very good. So I still think NC State's going to get in, by the way, but we'll save that for when we get to our show here in a couple of weeks. So that's it for the college basketball side of it. We'll see what happens this coming weekend when the MAC tournament, which happens in Cleveland, gets underway.
Cleveland rocks.
Then, so this is the fun part about the show. Usually around 10 o'clock in the mornings when I start trying to work out the general idea for the agenda. But when you do these shows at 5 o'clock on a Monday, sometimes some things just happen, and it just, you have to just take everything that you had, basically like, here's my agenda, and just roll it up and throw it on away, because it happens. So originally I was going to do a big hole, grind my gears on the Max Cosby trade, because I just do not trust my Raiders, and I do not trust the team at all. At first thought that just getting two first round picks for Max Crosby just isn't enough. And I compare it back to the Khalil Mack trade, when they got a bounty for Khalil Mack. Now, the front office of the Raiders completely botched every single one of those picks, but that's a different story. I'm always hopeful, and I really didn't like this trade at all, because I'm like, why at this point, why should we even draft Mendoza? Because this team has so many holes, and you just traded the one good spot that we had in Max Crosby. Like, this team is not going to be fixed next year, so go trade the Jets, get the second pick and their 16th pick, and get 3 first round picks, and let's just slowly try to then hope. Then I have to hope that Tom Brady is actually committed to building this team and staying with Spytech, and building this thing, because that's the other part, and I think that's the big reason why Crosby left. Is because I just, and I don't blame him. Like, this front office has had so much turmoil in his 7 years with the Raiders, and this team has had so much turmoil. Like, I get why he probably wanted out, and I can't really blame him. But I was going to be really pissed at the team. But then, through the magic of today, the Raiders have actually making some moves. I'm like, oh, okay, now I at least see maybe we have a plan. I still don't know who's going to play defense for us, but our offense could actually be decent next year. So hey, we might still lose games, but damn it, we should lose them like 40-35 at least, or something like that, and maybe at least be worth watching. So I'm okay with the trade. I still think that we should have got more than just 2 first round picks from Baltimore for him. But damn, you're talking now, Baltimore's got Crosby. The Browns have what's his name? Why can't I think of him? The Browns. Come on, help me out, Scooter. The Browns
Oh,
big guy.
yeah,
Miles Garrett. There it is.
Miles
Miles
Garrett.
Garrett. And Pittsburgh has TJ Watt. Like, damn, is that division loaded with guys that can rush the passer. So have fun with that for any fans of anyone in the NFC North. But I'll miss Max. I mean, he was a hell of a player. He deserved better than what he ever got in Vegas. So good luck to Max. And that's how I'll actually leave that whole part of it. Now I'll let you chime in if you want to on the Max situation.
Oh no, it's you said a lot of the stuff as you should, as especially as a Raider fan. But yeah, Max going out to Max gave a lot of time in Oakland and Vegas and stuff like that, and it finally ended. Like we all saw what was going on this past year, so it was like, okay, that's going to be it for him. But they got 2 first pick. It's always nice to get some more, but they got 2 first round picks, and sometimes you just got to cut it. So you got what? I don't know if there's any salary being taken in, because the Raiders have a lot of salary cap. But then I would expect more. So the whole thing is, if I'm giving you Crosby and you're giving me only 2 for first round draft picks, I don't want to pay for Max Crosby's salary anymore. That kind of thing, like that.
Yeah, I would be very surprised if there's any
Right.
salary retention in it at all,
Yeah,
with the way
I
that
wouldn't
thing
think so
is.
at all. As opposed, other places that has been going on. But I mean, the Raiders, it's $100 million they have to spend. So
Yeah.
maybe what we're seeing,
Well,
maybe they'll fix things. It's a lot of
hey, they
money.
spent some of that money today, so we'll see how that all plays out. Sarah says, so is Cincinnati and Joe Burrow cooked? Well, maybe. I think that's the fun thing with these deals. We'll have to see how they all play out. But yeah, if I'm Joe Burrow, I'm not happy with what I'm going to be looking at going into that. When you look into who's going to be available and stuff like that in there, so for sure. So any other thoughts on the Max Crosby?
Well, just to bring up that Joe Burrow things, Joe Burrow's like, okay, give me an offensive line now, protect me, and
Yeah.
maybe let's try to run ball a little more. So
Exactly, all that good stuff. So this is what's going on with the NFL right now, in case you don't know. Technically the new league year doesn't start till Wednesday. So like the Max Crosby's trade has not officially happened yet. Some of these other trades that you've heard teams made have not officially happened yet. They can't technically happen until Wednesday. And free agency technically, legally, doesn't start till 4 o'clock on Wednesday. But this is the beautiful thing that the NFL does, because what today technically is what I like to call National Legal Tampering Day, because all the teams now can talk with everybody, even though they're not technically free agents until Wednesday, and it's all okay because the NFL says it's okay. This is the only league where this happens, where it's not technically the free. It's not, you can't sign them yet, you can't do anything, but yet you can magically start talking to these players, and so all these deals that you see scrolling down on the bottom start to get leaked out. But it's a fun day, and hey, I'll give the NFL credit. They know how to keep themselves in the news 24/7, even during the off season, and it's little stuff like this that makes it fun, to say the least. So, happy National Legal Tampering Day to you, Scooter.
Hey, happy National Legal Tampering Day to you as well, Matty Ice. And then here, let's go free agency day. Free
All
agency
right,
week, they should call it.
Chuck. Yeah, it is. Chuck talking about Max Crosby because he's a fellow Raider fan, as I am.
Yeah.
Sucks to see our best player go, signing O line and a D back, according to Facebook. Doesn't have to be true. Yeah, some of it doesn't have to be, but I think the center from Baltimore, it definitely seems to. Oh, so it has to be true. Yeah, when Adam Schefter is officially reporting it, then I always feel good about that, and I know the center from Baltimore. Adam Schefter's reporting. So, but we'll get into that here. So let's do this. We're going to do what we had listed as our 5 free agents, and I think 3 of them for both of our lists are already rumored to be signed. So that's how good we were. We did this before that all started out. So let's do a quick little break, and then we're going to give you our top 5 free agents. We will be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, just a quick little break there. So here we have it, our top 5 free agents that we had going
Hey,
into
I have a
this.
breaking news.
Okay, breaking news. This
It's
is
not
what's going
huge
to happen
breaking
on the
news, but
show.
it's Washington Commander breaking news.
Okay, go for it.
Former draft pick Tim Settle, who signed with Buffalo, but he used to be with the Commanders initially. He just re-signed with the Redskins Commanders, and he was a Virginia Tech guy. So he's back, and he was pretty good.
And what position was he?
He's defensive tackle.
Defensive tackle. There you go. So breaking news, which is going to happen because these things just keep flying in, and I'll keep an eye out too for some other ones here that we see.
And that one goes out to JP Finley, everyone's favorite JP Finley in his ears.
There you go. All right, so let's go with this. These who came up with our top 5 free agents. We'll go 5-1, Scooter. So who was your 5th best free agent that you had going into this?
Well, if I shall tell you, it was the 5th one was your new favorite player, Tyler Linderbaum, the center.
And
I figured he's going to be a top-notch look, and he's going to get a lot of money. And apparently he is going to get a lot of money, more than I thought. So
he is getting a lot of money. It looks like he's going to be the highest paid center by the Raiders. But hey, if you're drafting Mendoza number 1, this is what you have to do, right? You need to protect the kid. The Raiders offensive line is known to not be good. So you go and you draft the best center that's out there. And, the Raiders had not had a good center since the days of Steve Wisniewski, and when Rich Gannon was the quarterback. And what do you know? That's the last time that they were relevant in the playoffs. So those 2 things seem to go hand in hand in my book. So if this is true and if that deal holds out, which it seems to be the case, I'm all for it. I think it is a great move by my Raiders for sure.
And I personally believe Linderbaum is a top 5 center in the league. So I mean, it's a great pick.
I agree. My number 5 is the only, and you're heavy on offensive line and defensive line. So am I. This was the only one that I had in my top 5 that was not an O-line or defense line, and it's just because the running back position still is important. He's only 26. He didn't have a great start to this year, but he ended strong for Seattle, and of course is the reigning Super Bowl MVP. And now he goes to Kansas City, which I'm not very happy to see that he's going into my division again. But what a pickup for Kansas City, who's been needing a running back. I don't think anyone ever really thinks that Kansas City is in a rebuild. They're just in a retool mode. But the one position they've been lacking is running back. and Kenneth Walker changes that. I know there's a lot of people hoping for some love to land in Kansas City in the form of the running back from Notre Dame, but I think this is why I don't like doing mock drafts until you see who goes where in free agency, because free agency changes everything. And Kenneth Walker goes to Kansas City. There's your running back for the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, this is, I mean, to me, this was, I called this one out, not on the show because it wasn't on the show, but I called this one out about 2 weeks ago that this is where he's going to go, Denver, because first of all, their great quarterback is coming back from an ACL tear. So they're going to, they're going to have to run the ball a little more. Second of all, going into this week, Denver, excuse me, the why am I the Chiefs, excuse me, the Chiefs only had one running back signed and he was a backup.
Right.
And you just knew like Walker's going to get money from them. You just knew it. So I'm not like Nostradamus or anything.
And this opens up the hole for Seattle too for Zach as Jabonet as a Midnight loves to call him. And look, I have Kenneth Walker in my fantasy team, and our league is always a keeper league. I originally wasn't thinking about keeping Kenny Walker, but now in Kansas City, that becomes something I'm going to have to think about this offseason a little bit more, because he's going to get the rock and he's going to get it down in the goal line for sure.
What I'm really interested to see, though, is what the Chiefs are going to do as his backup, or if you will, the pass catching running back, because they don't have that yet. So that should be. I'm interested to see what they do next. In the running back.
And Walker might be that guy for them too, because he can catch the ball. He does do that
absolutely.
well. So.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I thought Columbus scored there, but they did not. All right, so you're number 4.
So I had Braden Smith, the offensive tackle. He's a big guy. Teams are looking for offense. I mean, he's going to be more of a right tackle, I believe, because he's been right tackle, but he could move left. But he's going to be a big player. There's going to be what we were talking about, a lot of protection.
Mm-hmm.
We got to get some protection for these quarterbacks, Burrow, Mendoza. Yeah, so it should be interesting to see where he goes. If he hasn't been picked already, I don't know if he has.
He's one of the few that I've not seen up here get taken yet. So far he seems to still be available, but who knows, that could change before the end of the show. So my number 4 was your number 5. I had Tyler at number 4. I just thought he was the best. I think he was the best center that was obviously available, and he's only 26, and you talked him up plenty good, so I don't have to talk him up anymore. So, but he was my number 4, so we were pretty close there. Now what's interesting is we did not plan this part out in our segment, but our top 3 might have some interesting things too. Before we get into that, Anthony, check in. Anthony, good to talk to you as always. I don't believe that Houston is done looking running back market after trading for Montgomery. I think they're still after the starting running back for the Dolphins. I'm not sure. I don't know why you trade for Montgomery if you're going to sign a guy like Acme, because they kind of are the same player. Now, granted, they could, and I still think they like their other. I can't look at the guy that ended up playing a lot for them last year.
Adrian?
Adrian. Yeah, for Miami, but I'm talking about the guy for Houston. Yeah,
Woody.
I think they still like him. Yeah, I think they still like him to be the backup.
Him.
So I just look, teams wouldn't be the first time a team has thrown money that way and load up on a position like that. But I think it would surprise me if he goes there. He's going to go somewhere, but I don't know that Houston, and who knows, he may not want to go to Houston anymore with Houston adding Montgomery. But you never know. I mean, very few teams just go with one running back and that's it anymore. There's a lot of places that go with these running back by committees. So we'll see where he ends up. I'm kind of surprised his name has not popped up yet anywhere. So we'll see. Who knows? That could change before the end of the show.
I'm more in line with you, Matty, because of Woody Marks is a pretty decent running back, and so I mean you got a really good 1-2 punch right there. So
agree. I'm going to hit refresh here to myself. Just
it would be a lot of money to put into the running back room, which
Right, and not that can't happen. Obviously, let's just see. Here. Speaking of breaking news, Travis Kelce has signed a 1-year deal with Kansas City, so he is coming back for another year.
Coming back.
Let's see here what you got here. Smith and Lindy are going to be the top 2 targets for Houston at the offensive line. Yeah, I mean they got money to spend too, so we'll see where that all plays out. So all right, so let's get into your number 3, Scooter, which is also my number 3. But you can go for it.
We saw the left tackle, so I mean, he's to me he could be the number one guy, but left tackle's a necessity wherever
Yep.
he goes.
And yeah, he plays for Green Bay. Was with Green Bay. He's one of the best tackles out there, I think. So that's why I had him at number 3, because I think we both valued this next, particularly this next position, for our 1-2. So he was my best player that isn't an edge rusher. So I'll give that a little bit of a hint for who our top 2 guys were. But he was the best one, and I don't think I've seen anything on him yet either of going anywhere.
Yeah, I haven't seen Walker going anywhere yet. We could be wrong. If you've seen it, please let us know. And I'm not Googling it right now, so I'm too busy to
Yep.
do that.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to. I've got the
Like Maddie
ESPN little
Google.
ticker thing up here. Yeah, I got the ESPN ticker up here on my thing. That's where it just popped up on Travis Kelce. So, corner D Alford looks like is signing with Buffalo, 3 years up to 21 million. That is supposedly just now been has just come out here. That was 13 minutes ago. So we'll see. All right. I think Walker's gonna. If you're talking about Kenneth Walker, he just signed. He's going to Kansas City. So Kenneth Walker is gone, Anthony. If that's the Walker you're talking about, or unless you're talking about Rasheed Walker. If you're talking about Rasheed Walker, then yeah, I could see Miami being a fit
That
for
would
that
make
one.
yeah,
So
that would make sense for because Rashida and Malik they got some background.
they do. So I could see that going. All right, your number 2 is also my number 2, and he just signed with the Carolina Panthers
Yeah, good
allegedly.
Carolina. Good for
Go
them.
for it.
Yeah, no, I was just hoping he'd come to Washington, but yeah, good for Carolina. They're getting better.
Yeah, you look at these teams that, kind of surprised people last year, and you're like, okay, do they take a step up or they take a step back? Getting a guy like this, because I think the one thing that Carolina had a little bit of trouble with was their pass rush. You get an edge rusher like Jalen Phillips who had a really good year this year in Philly, and he's only 27 too. So, and he's long and
Yeah.
tall, just what you like in an edge rusher, because even if he can't get there, he can stick those mitts up and block plenty of passes. So it's a great move for Carolina. I love it tremendously.
Oh yeah.
And our number 1 guy is the same on both sides. Go for it.
Old Trey. Well, he had those 18 sacks 2 years ago, and then last year they talk about the injury. He got injured. Blah blah blah. Yeah, okay, it's sort of like Cincinnati knew they're not going to re-sign him, and Trey's probably like, "You're not going to re-sign me, so let's just kind of like not play as much this year." So,
Right.
yeah, he's a really good. Yeah, and of course you can worry about the injury thing, but 18 sacks is 18 sacks, and on that wasn't a great defense
It was
that
not.
he was
They,
part of.
he got double teamed a lot in Cincinnati,
Yeah.
and my only concern for him is he is 31. That's why I almost put and that's why I almost put him 2, and I almost put Phillips at 1, just because of the age. But at the same line, I think Trey, like he's still only 31. We'll see if the injuries are a concern or not. But yeah, I like him a lot. So
So
Anthony's
it
got
is.
a go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. No, yeah, like you were talking about, like the age. So the thing we're seeing now is 3-year contracts, 2 and 3 year contracts now, as opposed to back in the day, it was 3 and 4. Now
Yep.
you're not seeing a lot of 4-year contracts at all. A lot of 3-year contracts, which means they just may be 2-year contracts.
Right.
That the NFL does stuff, so they can shuffle these people out in and out pretty quickly without worrying about too much salary cap in the future.
Agree. Anthony's got his prediction of Trey Henderson ending up in Atlanta. Then he talks about Phillips, that he believes that Carolina may have overpaid. And look, you're going to see a lot of these teams overpay. Like I promise you, the Raiders are going to be overpaying for a couple people, mostly because they have so much cap space that they can overpay. And I think sometimes too, that's going to be how they're going to get guys. That's how some of these teams have to get. Sometimes though, when you're a Carolina or you're a Vegas, you've got to overpay to get somebody there to change it too. So. But he does talk about, and he has, and that's true. Phillips has had some health issues. I don't know. I would say that he's not that productive. I think he is still productive, and he's scheme specific. But the good news for him is that he's going to the scheme in Philly and Carolina does a similar style defense. So if it is scheme oriented, he's going someplace where that fits. So I still think it's a good. And let's be honest, the NFC South is not that good. You add a player like that into a bad division, I think that gives Carolina the heads up, especially when you got a certain player, in Tampa Bay, like a Mike Evans now leaving Tampa Bay. So as you see some of these other teams in the NFC South losing players and Carolina's adding players, I like that long term still for Carolina.
And the thing about the Panthers, though, I mean, Anthony makes one good point about that, is that they only came in with about $8 to $10 million in cap space. So it's not like the Raiders who came in with $100 million. So the Raiders can overspend, like crazy overspend. Start getting at like 8 million, 10 million, you can't overspend as much because you're putting a lot of money into one player. So I see where Anthony is what he's talking about.
Yep. Yeah, I don't disagree with that too. So let's see here. So Scooter, you got anyone else either that either through the ticker that's scrolling or anyone else that's caught your eye that has signed already, or some other notables, maybe some guys that weren't quite your top five that you're interested in that have either already signed someplace or are interested to see where they sign?
I mean, unfortunately, I haven't had a lot of time today. There's been a lot of stuff going on with in the behind the scenes at work. That doesn't include me. That has nothing to do with me. It has unfortunately some other people, but I haven't been able to spend a lot of time looking, and so nothing would be surprising to me. The names that I see, I'm kind of like, okay, that kind of makes sense here and there. So no, not really.
Oh,
So,
here's the breaking one.
ooh,
Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be what changes the Arizona Cardinals' future forever. Gardner Minshew is signing a 1-year deal in Arizona.
go
That's
guard.
it. The league is done. When Gardner Minshew is your quarterback, you win it all.
Well, he's who's the quarterback out there now? They're well, not
That was
officially,
sarcasm, everyone, just in case if you're not sure. So
but I mean, he could always start. And in Arizona,
he might be
there's
the
been a lot of
starter. I mean, yeah, he's going to be he could be the starter. Anthony says, "What are you guys' thoughts on the Mike Evans signing 3-year deal?" I mean, look, it's a good deal. I mean, I don't hate it for San Francisco. They need help at wide receiver because who the hell knows whenever if Ayuk is ever going to be healthy or not healthy, and they needed help at wide receiver. So but he's an old wide receiver, so you run that risk too. Of 3 years is a big deal for an older wide receiver who's had his own injury concerns the last 2 years. So I like the deal. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I think it's a deal that makes sense to me. It's a place where he's gonna should be a good fit for Brock Purdy and give him someone to throw to. But it's an aging veteran wide receiver, so we'll see what happens with that. But I don't dislike it. How about you, Scooter?
Yeah, if you're Mike Evans, you're like, I like this spot. I like going to the 49ers to kind of roll out the end of my career because we could win a Super Bowl or two out here. So
Yep.
I think it's really good for both he and the team. And he'll work well as long as, of course, the injury, but he should work well. I mean, they could pass that ball over the place, and then there's going to be some questions on what like Juwan Jennings and a few other people in the organization. Like you already mentioned, don't like I would not even worry about that. Like he's never going to play for them again.
Garden Chuck calling Uncle Rico for good old Gardner Minshew, so I do like that. How about your boy that signed with Detroit, Allen from the Chargers? They added a nice little piece to that. I thought Washington added with getting him. Did you like that move?
Oh yeah. The edge rusher. Yeah. Oh wait.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a great move. Here's the he actually is one of the few that has signed a 4-year contract. Yeah, it's 4-year, $100 million. That's a lot of money. Now, Washington has had a lot of cap space. They're up there at the $80 million, so they can overspend if they need to. So yeah, that was they need edge rushing, and like I said, they got settled, so they got something a little more in the inside. But yeah, that's a good signing right there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was Washington's biggest problem this year was just the lack of a pass rush. So adding a guy like that, and I appreciate the fact that you got him out of the AFC West. So bye
Well, they
bye.
did get a
Good
nickel
luck.
defense. Yeah, right. They got a nickel defense from nickel cornerback from Detroit. So they had some issues last year in that nickel area too. So he should help that out.
I do want to give a shout to the moves that my Raiders made today. They signed, of course, Tyler Lindenbaum. It is a 3-year, $81 million deal. 60 of that is guaranteed. He will be the highest paid interior offensive lineman. They also signed Jalen Naylor to a 3-year, $35 million deal. So it does add some much needed depth to the wide receiver spot. Then they also signed defensive end Kwity Paye today. 48 million, 32. That is guaranteed. So, the Raiders are filling positions of need, which is good to see. I mean, like I said, I like them. If you're going to draft Mendoza #1 overall, which is obviously what they're going to do and they should do, then you got to have a center. So this makes sense to me, and I at least feel good. These are moves that I can now look at my team and say, okay, I think we actually have a plan finally moving forward. Let's just see if it works.
I like the Jalen Naylor move. He never got enough credit what he was up in Minnesota with. He never had a huge chance. I mean, you got Justin you got Jefferson up there, and you got a bunch of other guys that were up there. They had some issues too with wide receiver, but Naylor he was really kind of like he could move the markers, and he could score some touchdowns. Now I think he gets himself into a bigger role as opposed to the ultimate third WR3. Now he gets the wide receiver 2 at least. So and I think the Raiders have a few really young speedsters on that team, and hopefully the new offensive coordinators can.
They do, and I think Genty, who had a good rookie year, he had no offensive line help at all. Like he was the running back with the most contact behind the line of scrimmage of any running back in the league. So maybe that changes. The Colts re-sign Pierce, their wide receiver, today too. So I thought that was good. Travis Etienne goes from Jacksonville to New Orleans. So I did like that move. Miami, of course, Tua leaves Miami and goes to Atlanta. They go out and get Willis from. They did get Malik. So,
my guy. Yeah. That's right. He was the one. I love Malik Willis.
Yep.
I have a Malik Willis shirt.
That's a good thing too. Joni Evans checking in. Thanks for checking out the show. Appreciate having you on here. Good move by the Raiders, which I appreciate that and agree with that 100%. Some guy named Ben Conti. I'm not sure. I only know a guy named Midnight Rider. I don't know who this Ben Conti guy is. He agrees on Naylor, Scooter. He gets you some love for that. always good when you get the Midnight Rider train to.
Yeah, Mile High Salute. Mile High Salute.
All right. I think that we hit on just about all the big ones. If there's another name out there that you guys see that you think is worth mentioning, throw it out there by all means. That's the fun of today. There's just no way for us to keep up with these all here all the time. There's just too damn many of them. So
I did
let's
notice
do this.
a few other things real quick. Was that
yeah, go for it.
You had Snoop re-signed up in Baltimore, so they re-signed their backup. So you had Mariota re-signed in Washington, so they re-signed their backup, which is nice. Tua goes to Atlanta, which okay, cool. That could work out. And as I mentioned, Malik going down to he's in Miami now, and I thought Miami. If you think you guys were good when Tua was on top of his game, wait till you get Malik. I mean, Malik Willis is amazing. You're going to love him. He's a great person, but you're going to love what he does on the football field. The dude has a cannon, and he'll run around like crazy, and you're going to fall in love with him.
I don't know that he ever really got a fair shot where he started, and obviously last year in Green Bay, I think he finally got to really show what he could be. And yeah, you're right. I think he's got potential there in Miami for sure. Man, this
I followed his career since Clemson to Liberty, and when he went to Liberty, he just went crazy. And then he got drafted by the Titans in the 3rd round. So you kind of like, okay, well, they drafted like 3 years in a row quarterbacks. So, and he was young. So you knew that he wasn't going to be able to get the NFL immediately. That was a known thing that was going to go on with Malik. It's going to take him time. But when he learns it, watch out. And I think he's learned it.
I agree. All right. Anything else on the NFL free agency real quick? All right, so let's do this. Let's take a break, and then we are going to get into some World Baseball Classic talk. We'll be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thanks. Welcome back. So, hey, and in case you didn't know, there is this, and yes, it's preseason baseball as far as most of the baseball teams, but this World Baseball Classic, and I know maybe here in the U.S. it just doesn't hit, but if you watch any of these games going on elsewhere, like this is like we talked about the Olympics with hockey and what that brings to countries and reactions. This is doing that all over the world, especially down in the Dominican and in Venezuela and in the Caribbean and down in Cuba, and then you go out to Japan and Chinese Taipei and all these places. Like this is what this tournament is doing for baseball. I'm sure don't. And the sad part, of course, is that when we get to our baseball show here in a couple weeks, we'll be talking about how the Major League Baseball is going to completely fuck up all of this after this baseball season, because that's what's going to happen. But we'll get into that later. We'll save the bad news for a different show. This is all about love. So in case you don't know what this is, it's a baseball tournament with 20 teams. They're in four pools. There's 5 teams in each pool. It's a round robin, so they play each of the teams. So they're going to play 4 games, and the top 2 teams in each pool advance to the quarterfinals. So this is the a couple of the bigger pools. This is Pool A and Pool B. You can see the U.S. is right in there at 2-0. They play Mexico later tonight in a huge game. So far, they've played Great Britain and Brazil, but Italy's kind of been the surprise at this at 2-0. But now all these teams are going to start playing each other, so we'll see how that all goes. And then over in Pool A down in San Juan, you got Puerto Rico and Cuba. They seem to be on a collision course for each other and should advance into the quarterfinal play. But that's kind of the fun of the A and the B pool. Let's see, I have the USA results here. The first 2 games they played, they whooped up on Great Britain. Well, first they were down 1-0, which I had my little fun on Facebook saying, hey, wouldn't it be funny if we lost to Great Britain in baseball? But fortunately,
Never.
that did not happen. And then we beat Brazil pretty handily too. But again, we got some big games coming up with the Mexico and Italy. We'll see more of where this team truly is after tonight. So, any thoughts on Pool A or Pool B?
I mean, no, but I just want to make it known that, like, if you're not familiar with the World Baseball Classic, like Italy, they're 2-0. Like what kind of players come from Italy that play baseball? Well, most of them don't. They come from the USA because
Right.
they have like names like Delucia and Festa. And in fact Jorge Posada is a coach. So it's like the Olympics, like with some of those teams, like So there is that goes on to it.
I think it's very safe to say, Scooter, that I think baseball is very loose with their definitions of how they
Yes.
get some players to some of these teams. So
Yes.
that now there are some, like Canada's built a legit team. Like the Naylor brothers are clearly from Canada. They've got some guys that are actually there from Canada. Yeah, some of these ones, though, yes, they have managed to pull some people somehow due to some problem. And who knows, could even be questionable family heritage as far as lineage goes. But hey, it creates for a good baseball tournament, so we'll take it.
The one thing I also find funny too is, like, it's not, there's no carousel in there. It's the Netherlands.
Right.
Okay. But they don't have carousel. But Netherlands, they do. But so it goes like they have the USA and Puerto Rico. Last I checked, Puerto Rico is the United States. So, I mean, whatever. They can have fun with it.
Well, it's a territory. It's the United States territory. So, and it's not technically the United States. So
I
that's,
would
I
like to
think,
take some of the players from Puerto Rico and put them on our roster.
yeah, Chuck put in there. I think Skeens. I think Skeens is starting tonight. But that's the thing though. It's March baseball, so you're still probably only going to get Skeens for 3,
Yeah.
maybe 4 innings, depending out there. They're still going to limit his pitch count because it's still that's the only thing too. Like I get why they do it in March, but I would love to see baseball do like what the NHL does. Hey, let's give these guys 2 weeks off during the middle of the season. Let's get rid of the All-Star break and let's let these guys compete when they're actually lathered up instead of doing this in March. But again, it's baseball. They can't do things right. So this is Pool C and Pool D. The 2 teams, Korea, which you've kind of seen this scroll go across, they beat Australia earlier today. So these 3 teams all tied at 2-2, but based off the tiebreaker, Korea is the one that advances with Japan. Of course, Japan has Shohei Ohtani and many, 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 many other good players on that team. Pool D in Miami has been a lot of fun. This has had the Dominican Republic and Venezuela look like they're going to come out of it. Venezuela had a big win earlier today too, so I believe that it should be likely those 2 teams that they still are yet to play each other, which that game is going to be Those two countries do not seem to like each other that much in the Dominican Republic and Venezuela. So when they play each other, that one is going to be a lot of fun to see later this week.
Yeah, I mean, here's another interesting one too. Okay, the Czech Republic, Czechia. Okay, they're in the pool with Japan, Korea, Australia, and Chinese Taipei, and some team in the middle of Europe,
Right.
dead
But
smack in the middle of Europe, underneath Germany, a little farther west than Russia, a little farther east than Italy. It's like, okay.
yeah, how they came up with these pools, who knows? But it's fun. Um, yeah, so there's your four pools, and let me real quick here. So some big games coming up later today. Of course, we talked about Cuba plays Puerto Rico. That should be an interesting one. That's going to be in San Juan. I'm sure that place is going to be all kinds of
Mhm.
riled up. U.S. plays Mexico and Houston. I expect there to be a lot of Mexican fans and that make their way across into Houston on that one. That one should be fun too to watch. And then, so the quarterfinals are going to be March 13th and 14th. Two of them are on the 13th, two are on the 14th. The semis are on the 15th and the 16th. And so we'll have, when we come back on next week on the 16th, we'll have one of the semifinals will be that night. And then on Tuesday, March 17th is going to be when the final is. So lots of good stuff to come. It's hard to get numbers because a lot of these teams have only played 3 or 4 games. So you got some batting averages out there, like Luis Ariz is batting 625 for Venezuela. Shohei's batting 556 for Japan. Junior Caminero is batting 571 for the Dominican. No one player has more than 2 homers right now. And pitching wise, like no pitcher has pitched more than 6 innings in this tournament. So it's hard to really, to get some really, really cool stats right now because of just how little some of these guys are playing in some of these things and they're just getting limited at bats. But it makes for great baseball, and that's what I'm here for. Anything that can make baseball in March interesting, I'm here for.
Yeah, yeah. And what are the if you're not familiar so much with how competitive these guys can be, I think it was like 2012, 2014 World Baseball Classic, and Canada and Mexico had this classic game where Canada was up 9-3, and but there was a lot of commotion going on in the game, and then the ninth inning came about, and Canada up by 6 runs decides to bunt a player on. Well, Mexico didn't like it. So Mexico then started throwing the ball like right at the next batter. And it was just like, whoa. Then he did it again, and it was a bench clear. There's a massive brawl in the ninth inning. Look it up. It's fun.
Yeah. And you can you just see the crowds in these games,
Yeah.
and the players, when somebody hits a big home run, you can just it feels like it's October baseball in a lot of these venues. And I'll even the US is that where they've been playing in Houston, the crowd's been pretty good. They've been into it for the US. I mean, when they were losing to Great Britain 1-0 and they had the big inning where they scored the 5 runs to kind of pull away, and Schwarber hits the bomb, that place was pretty loud. It was fun to see. So it's good for baseball, but like I said, I'm not optimistic that the sport will do the right thing, and I'm still waiting for them to screw this up here at the end of next year.
Well, the ones in San Jose, I've been watching some of those games, and it's really fun. The fans, whatever the Zuzazellos or whatever they use in the soccer games, and
Yes.
well, they do that. It's really
Yeah.
fantastic.
It's like mixing, and you see that where when the Oakland A's used to play, they'd have their whole little band playing for during the A's games, and that's the vibe that you're getting in there in
Yeah,
San Juan. It's been good stuff. So
it's fun.
all right, anything else on the World Classics, sir?
No, I can't wait. It's such a fun thing. I remember a few years ago watching Japan in Shohei just going insane.
All right, so let's do this. Let's take one last little commercial break, and then we're going to get into some hockey here real quick to end the show. We'll be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back. This is my favorite segment, of course, the Drive to Net, where we keep you up to date on everything that's going on in hockey. And we'll start this off as we always talk about the March Madness, but it goes on in more than just basketball. It's also that time of year for hockey. The men's side will have finishing up their tournaments this weekend, and they'll announce their field shortly, right along with the men's announcement of the field of 68. But the women's hockey bracket is set. Not as many teams as you can see make the bracket. The big one is, of course, the big two really in women's hockey. It's Ohio State, which had 6 of their players in the Olympics this last year between all the different teams. Wisconsin had 5 in the Olympics. Penn State were right behind them as the 3 seed. They also had 3 players in the Olympics. So just like we talked in the last couple shows about in the PWHL seeing a bump, so is women's hockey on the college side of this thing. I'll be very interested to see how this grows, but this is the field for right now. So the way that it works is Ohio State is the #1 overall seed. They will play the winner of Yale and Minnesota Duluth. I believe Minnesota Duluth will probably win that game, but that should be a fun one. Then your 4-5 seeds are Minnesota and Northeastern. That should be a really good battle. I believe Minnesota will probably come out on top of that one. Your #2 seed is Wisconsin, and they will take on the winner of Quinnipiac. Quinnipiac has had their men's program has really been successful. They won a national title just a few years back. Their women's program is just now kind of starting to take off. So good for them. They're getting on. And I'll be honest, I did not have time. I meant to look up Franklin Pierce University because I've
New
not heard of
Hampshire.
it.
New
New
Hampshire.
Hampshire. Well, that makes sense. So up there in the Northeast, but they will be taking on Quinnipiac. More than likely, whoever wins that game has no chance of beating Wisconsin. But it's you never know. It's March Madness. Sometimes these things can happen. I think probably the best of these early matchups is UConn Princeton. That game is UConn has done a really good job. You think of them as just the basketball school. Both their men's and women's hockey programs are doing phenomenally well. They've done a great job of building up these programs really from nothing. And now they've got these perennial teams that are always in the frozen tournaments. So I think UConn will probably beat Princeton, but that should be a good game. And then that would be the one where if you're going to have one of these the lower ones upset one of the big ones, it should be maybe I could see UConn going in and upsetting Penn State. But the last 3 years, the finals have been Ohio State against Wisconsin. I don't really see that changing. Any thoughts on the women's college side, Scooter?
So it's really cool that the one thing I'm noticing the most is how huge New England is in this thing. I mean, it's all, and then there's Jersey in Pennsylvania, and then there's a
Right,
bunch of other states, and not a bunch, a few. So
right.
I mean, Franklin Pierce, New Hampshire, Northeastern Boston, which by the way, I got into Northeastern, but I didn't go there. I went to University of Hartford. So then you go to look at these, and what really is big is the dominance of Connecticut, Yale, UConn, Quinnipiac. Quinnipiac's in Hamden, Connecticut, and in fact, Mike Pagliarulo, formerly of the New York Yankees, went to Quinnipiac. My ex-sister-in-law was the captain of the Quinnipiac women's soccer team, and
Nice.
I actually attended 4 years at Quinnipiac College during the summers at the Joe Namath football camp. So
Very nice.
go
Look at that.
Quinnipiac. And Quinnipiac's really good on the men's side. And
They
if
are.
you ever hear like political polls, the Quinnipiac poll, that's the school. That's where it comes from.
And for those that don't know, the Frozen Four on the men's side, it's a 16-team bracket. So you'll have the 4 top seeds, and then they'll be playing into with 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3 format, and then the 4 teams will move on into what's called the Frozen Four. I think we're going to see the women's move into that next year. There's enough good programs now where this weird format that you see now, where it's not what is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 teams. I think they'll get this up to 16 next year just to match what the men's do, because there's enough women's teams where I think they can pull it off finally, just with how much the sport is growing.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so now we have to get into this game last night, because this game, if you didn't see it, folks, check it out on YouTube, check it out on the NHL, wherever. Buffalo and Tampa Bay in a battle for first place in the Atlantic Division. The final score was 8-7. This game had, you name it, it had it. It had 5 fights. It had 102 minutes in penalties. It had, so we got a line brawl early in the game. Buffalo goes up 1-0. It's only 1-0 after the first period, but it was a really fun period. Then next thing you know, they're up 3-0 5 minutes into the second. Then LA comes back, scores 3 goals to tie it up at 3, or excuse me, tie up at 4. So it ends the second period tied at 4. Tampa then gets the next 2 goals. So now they've now taken a 6-4 lead. And that was with let's see, I have here 9 minutes into the third period. They swap a goal, so now it's 7-5 Tampa with 10 minutes left to go. Buffalo rolls off and scores 3 goals in 4 minutes and 40 seconds. This game was in Buffalo, so they send the whatever it is now, the Key Bank Center, whatever the hell they're calling the place, because you can never keep up with them, into a frenzy. Ladies and gentlemen, Buffalo is the team with the longest playoff drought of 33 years in the NHL. That's looking pretty good to end this year. The league is better if Buffalo makes the playoffs, but if Buffalo and Tampa can somehow meet in the second round, sign me up for 7 games of what happened yesterday. That was maybe the best regular season hockey game I can remember seeing in quite some time.
So you had 2 guys who scored in that game who were just traded, Sam Carrick and Corey Perry, surprisingly enough. But yeah, what a cool game. We would call it the odd, AUD, the odd.
Yes, the
Is
old
what we would call it.
that was I had been to a game in the odd before they tore that bad boy down. That was, oh yeah, that's the odd and the Joe. Like I still claimed I've been to a game in both of those cities, but I'd not been to Little Caesars Arena, and I'd not been to the new one in Buffalo. But man, the odd, that was an upper deck that you valued your life going up those
Was
stairs
Clint
and down
Malarchuk
those
the
stairs.
goalie?
Probably because I saw Gretzky play there
Oh
in
yeah,
LA. So
yeah.
that is either him or good old Darren Poopa.
Oh,
Another,
Poopa, the Poopa Scoopa.
yeah, that's another fun name, right? See,
Oh
that's why I
yeah.
love hockey. Hockey just has great names like Clint Malarchuk and Darren Poopa. I mean, like, what sport has a goalie tandem with names like Malarchuk and Poopa?
Yeah. Then Pete Peters.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, to be only beaten by like Anthony Tony.
right. Or was it there's a Jones that played for San Jose. It was like Jim Jones or something like that.
Johnny
All right.
Jones.
Well, we are really digressing here. So yeah, so that game last night was just a lot of fun. So let's take a quick look at the standings. As you can see, I'm starting to eliminate teams finally. I'm not just going to show every team. We're going to get this. We're going to start to narrow this down a little bit. So bye bye Rangers. You're too far out of it. Kind of using 10 points from that second wild card. So New Jersey, Florida, and Toronto, you're on the brink of being just about out of this thing here by next week. If you're still 10 points back, that'll probably be too far back because we're really only looking at 17 games left right now. But again, hello Buffalo. They win that game. Now the only thing is Tampa Bay still has 2 games in hand, but they're 2 points ahead of Tampa Bay right now for first in the Atlantic. But they are definitely well on their way to getting their first playoff spot because they're 11 points clear of what would be the second wild card team. So unless they just go on some type of slide, I really like them. Buffalo should be able to end that drought. Carolina should be in control in the Metro. Looks pretty good for them. The battle there is going to be for second. You got Pittsburgh and the Islanders just a point away from each other, but don't count out Columbus yet. They're playing LA right now. They just tied it up at 3 going into the third period. In that game, they're sitting there only, they're 5 points out of Pittsburgh, so they're still in the race for the second place in the Metro. But the battle is going to be for that wild card spot. You got 5 points separating 3 teams, and 2 more are only 7 points back. Right now, Washington's, that they're in that they're 7 points back. They still have time, but you got to move. You got to start moving now if you're a Capitals fan. And I'm not sure. I saw a little bit of their game this weekend. It was against that they played. They just looked flat against Pittsburgh, and they just was it Pittsburgh? No, who is it that they played on Sunday? Now I can't even remember. But they looked flat. Just I didn't look good to me at all. Oh, Boston, that's who it was. And third period, they just got there was 1-1 to go in the third, and Boston just dominated them. But
Yeah, that was Saturday, and then Boston
Saturday,
played the Penguins yesterday. I watched the end of that game, and that was a good ending of that game. Pittsburgh won that in overtime, but
yeah,
that
they
was
were
good.
down 3-0 in that game and came
Yeah.
back and came all the way back and won that one. So, I'm a big fan of Boston. So, any thoughts on the East there, Scooter?
I mean, I think you mentioned it. Washington's lost 3 straight, so we'll see what happens on that. And then Columbus is good, so it's going to be tough for Washington to get over them.
Yeah, I think you're really looking at it's going to be between Montreal, Boston, Columbus, and Ottawa for those two wild card spots, and maybe you can throw even third place into the Atlantic because you got Detroit only at 79 points.
Mhm.
So Detroit loses a couple, Montreal or Boston can flip up there. Like I said, Carolina's definitely in. I think Pittsburgh and the Islanders are both going to be in, but hey, the Islanders are only at 77 points. You got Columbus at 73, so all of that still is within range with 18 games left for some of these teams, 17, 16 games, depending on the team. All these things are still in play for sure.
Okay.
Then out west, bye bye Vancouver. They're off the list, and St. Louis, Calgary, Chicago. You're on the brink of being on off of here probably by next week again, unless they just go on a heater. But I don't see that happen. But nothing's really changed here. It's still the top three teams in the Central are definitely the head and above of everybody else in the West. Colorado, after the moves that they've made, they now have a 7-point lead again over Dallas, 10 points over Minnesota. So it looks. I still think the West is Colorado's to lose, but the Pacific Division is still fun. You've got Anaheim's currently in first, but 9 points separate the six teams in the Pacific Division. Utah seems to be in a good place. They're fourth in the Central at 72 points, but they are 6 points clear of that second wild card spot right now. So it's looking pretty good for Utah to get in. But then after that, man, you got five teams within 5 points with Seattle, San Jose, LA, and Nashville and Winnipeg. So the battle for that second wild card spot is going to be fun.
Yeah, yeah, and there was Kings that were making moves, so that would be the team to watch. Are they the one that's going to make the move?
Yep. Yep. It's all good stuff here. Let me take here a quick peek at that. Yeah, the third period is not started in that game yet. So that game is still, and LA is playing Columbus right now, tied at 3. So a big game for both of those teams, coming up here later. So there you have it, folks. That's the current standings in the NHL. And it's going to be fun here as we head down the road here, so to speak. Anything else on the NHL side that you want to touch on, Scooter, before we get ready to
No,
wrap this bad boy up?
I mean, this is when the games start becoming, and it's those teams that are out of the playoffs or right at the verge, where these games are playoff games. So if you like playoff hockey, it's time to start watching now.
Yeah, and just to go back to that Buffalo Tampa Bay game, like that game had a playoff atmosphere. It was so
Yeah,
funny how
mhm.
whoever controlled the in-house camera when right after the line brawl. So you got four guys from Tampa in the penalty box and four guys from Buffalo in the penalty box. They show the four guys from Tampa in the penalty box. The crowd boos like crazy. Then they show the Buffalo guys. The crowd goes, the crowd just starts cheering like crazy. Back to Tampa, boo. Back to Buffalo, yay! Back to Tampa, boo! Back to Buffalo, and then they just end up Buffalo, and of course, and now you got the whole arena just fired up before the next puck drop. Like, well done, camera guy, because that was so
Yeah,
well timed and
that's
just
good.
and that's what we have coming up here for sure. But speaking of coming up down the road, March 16th will be our next show. I'm not sure if I'm going to be on that one or not, so hopefully Showtime will be available for that one. We'll go over the semis and the finals for the World Baseball Classic, and then we'll also maybe give some predictions of who won this whole NFL free agency thing. Because now, by next Monday show, all these moves will be official now, so we can call them officially moves. Then in 2 weeks, Drive Time will be back in prime time with our Major League Baseball preview on March 23rd. That's going to be at 8 o'clock. And then on Monday, April 20th, will be the second annual People's Mock Draft. We did pretty good last year. I think we ran at about 60% of whoever picked for that team got the pick right in some version or the other, either the player or the position or both. So we did pretty good in our mock draft last year. And then
Yeah.
coming up later this summer, we'll have our sports pricing families out of live events. So that's some of the stuff to come up down the road on the shows. And of course, as we talked at the beginning of the show, you can watch our shows live on YouTube, Facebook, and you can listen to us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Pocket Cast, Podbean, and Castbox. And then there's our great lineup. We always talk about this coming up later tonight. They were off last week, but I know he's back tonight. Pretenders or Contenders will be on at 7 o'clock Eastern. I have to say Eastern because it's 3 o'clock my time where I'm at right now. I'm like, oh, in 4 hours. I'm like, no, that's coming up in an hour because I keep forgetting. This is 6 o'clock on East Coast time. So that's coming up later tonight. Then Unapologetic Sports, Lee, Ice, and Brian will be checking in tomorrow at 6:30. I am sure they will have their breakdown of what's all happened in the NFL because those guys are huge NFL fans and they will be breaking it down like no one else can. Then the Tuesday night flight, I'm sure they will be taking a stab at some of the big moves in the day. Then Wednesday, get you caught up on the NBA with nothing but net. And then Thursday night throwdown, and then the WrestleManiacs on Saturday, and then the Sunday Rise and on Sunday morning at 11 a.m. And then we're back with you next Monday. And that's it. That's the lineup. So, Scooter, that's it. We talked about a lot today. So, any final thoughts you got here before we say bye bye?
No, just a reminder: Laramie Tunsil re-signed with Washington for 2 years. He got $60 million on it, and
There you go.
so we'll see what else happens.
All right, folks, that's our show for today. We appreciate you joining in. Thanks for all the comments, everybody. Love seeing all the comments out there. If you're able to, then make sure you get out there. If you got a good day, go out there and enjoy the rest of the evening. And make sure you tell your loved ones that you love them because tomorrow is not guaranteed. But if you are here, we hope that you join us next week on Drive Time. So until then, everyone, take care and be safe.
I'm filling this sucker up. It's been a long day.
There you go. Go, and I'm going to go down to this nice little bar right at the pool and find myself something to drink too. So go get yourself a drink by a pool if you can. All right, guys. Yeah, that's true. All right, guys. Take care, everybody.